resistance struggle is now sweeping South Korea. A great bloody disaster is taking place. Who brought about such disaster? Why have the people risen up? Korea must be unified. Korean Documentary Film Studio, 1960. August 15, 1945. After long years of poverty and hunger, the Korean people are liberated from the yoke of Japanese imperialist colonial rule by the great Soviet Army. Marshal Kim Il-sung returns home in triumph after 15 years' fight for the liberation of the fatherland. The Korean people organized people's committees throughout the country with a desire to live happily and harmoniously in an independent democratic country. But from the first day they set foot in South Korea, the American imperialists started trampling upon the will of the Korean people. U.S. imperialists scuttled the work of the USSR-USA Joint Commission for establishing an all-Korea democratic government and rejected the Soviet proposal on withdrawing Soviet and American troops from Korea. To South Korea, under U.S. occupation, the joy of liberation faded quickly, and hunger and oppression again loomed large before the people. The devastated industry has not been rehabilitated yet. People without work and food. Their demand for jobs and food is a democratic right. We want a government that gives rights, jobs, and rights. Hand over the power to the people. We support the labor law in North Korea. These democratic demands of the peaceable demonstrators are answered by the American military government with police, oppression, and terrorism. More, the U.S. military government forcibly disbanded people's committees organized by Korean people. While many people are shedding blood in the fight for the right to live, and people's property is being demolished in South Korea, great creative work is on the move in North Korea, where the people have firmly seized the power in their hands. Having become the master of the country, thanks to the nationalization of industry, land and farm, other democratic reforms, the people in North started to rapidly rehabilitate and develop the national economy and fortify the democratic base. The Korean people launched an active struggle to determine the fate of the nation by themselves. Conference of various political parties and social organizations in the North and South Korea, convened in Pyongyang in April 1948, outlined ways and means of forming a united government through an all-Korea general election after the withdrawal of foreign troops from Korea. This line enjoys the unanimous support of the entire Korean people. However, the American imperialists, abusing the name of the United Nations, framed up the Syngman Rhee puppet government at the point of the bayonet. Thus, a police terror state unprecedented in human history came into being in South Korea. The Syngman Rheeites, reared by American imperialists and armed with U.S. weapons, make it their specialty to terrorize innocent people. South Korea has been turned into a prison, a slaughterhouse of the people. Acting as tyrants in the dark lands, American soldiers plunder people's properties and kill at random innocent inhabitants. The U.S. imperialists and their lackeys reinforce the puppet rock army and are madly preparing to invade North Korea. However, North Korea has been taking a series of historical measures for the peaceful settlement of the Korean question. In 1948, the Soviet troops withdrew from North Korea on their own initiative, and the government of the Republic advanced sincere proposals time and again to South Korean authorities for the peaceful unification of the fatherland. The American imperialists, however, rejected such just proposals and stepped up war preparations. In June 1950, notorious warmonger Dulles inspected the 38th parallel line and discussed the March North operation plan. On June 25, 1950, the American imperialists unleashed the war in Korea that took a toll of countless lives and reduced properties to ashes. But the aggressors suffered an ignominious defeat before the masters of the country. The Korean people finally won great victory. On July 27, 1953, the American invaders signed the Korean Armistice Agreement. They refused to implement the obligation of pulling foreign troops out of Korea and peacefully settling the Korean question as provided for in the Korean Armistice Agreement. After the war, they moved the UN command to Seoul and reinforced the American troops in South Korea in gross violation of the Armistice Agreement. They expanded the Syngman Rhee puppet army from 15 divisions at the time of the armistice to 31 divisions. Furthermore, they illegally shipped into South Korea Honest John, Nicky Hercules, Matador, and other new type weapons. The northern part of our republic was reduced to ashes during the 3-year war unleashed American imperialists. Undaunted before the unheard of grave ruin, the heroic people routed U.S. invaders and won final victory. The people rose up to carry through the appeal of the 6th plenum of the Central Committee of the Korean Workers' Party, calling for devoting everything to post-war national economic development. Premier Kim Il-sung often goes out among the masses and talks to the working people. The kind instruction of the beloved leader and the general line of the Korean Workers' Party on rehabilitation and development of post-war national economy greatly encouraged the working people. To preserve and consolidate peace in Korea, the government of our republic unilaterally reduced its armed forces by 80,000. And at the time, our government proposed to the South Korean authorities to to reduce the numerical strength of armed forces in North and South Korea to 100,000 each, and to declare that they would not resort to arms. On February 5, 1958, the government of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea issued a statement on the peaceful settlement of the Korean question through the withdrawal of all foreign troops from Korea. In response to this, the government of the People's Republic of China decided at their own initiative to withdraw all the Chinese People's volunteers from North Korea. Withdrawal of the Chinese People's Volunteers opened a new phase favorable for peaceful unification of Korea. However, the American imperialists, far from pulling their aggressive troops out of South Korea, are further consolidating the foundation of their colonial rule and fortifying military bases and staging war provocation maneuvers with a view to perpetuating the split of Korea. The military policy of the American imperialists and the Sigmund Reichites further devastated South Korean economy. The industrial output of South Korea is no more than half the pre-liberation output. The livelihood of the people is getting worse and worse. The living of the peasants is pretty much the same. Under the tyranny of American imperialists and the Sigmund Reichites, the majority of peasants suffer from hunger. No remedies were taken or could be taken for the drought followed by floods every year. Thousands of vagrant orphans roam about the streets of rural villages. They should be protected and enjoy happiness. Why should they eke out a miserable existence polishing boots of American soldiers? These ragged and hunger-stricken children are awaiting a hand of relief. On August 21, 1958, the plenary cabinet meeting of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea decided at the proposal of Premier Kim Il-sung to deliver relief goods to South Korean flood victims, take over unemployed and orphans, educate the South Korean youth and students in the schools of North Korea, and send scholarships to poor youth and students in South Korea. At a military armistice commission meeting held in Panmunjom, the representatives of our side demanded the U.S. side to accept the just proposal of our government. This just proposal threw the U.S. imperialists and the Sigmund Reichites into great confusion. They categorically rejected it. Reporters covering the meeting are moved by the brilliant construction and achievements in the northern half of the Republic. North Korea has completely healed the severe war wounds and is building new, everything more magnificently. Thanks to the correct economic policy of the Korean Workers' Party, independent national economy has been established in North Korea. located in the North is powerful enough to satisfy the demands of all branches of the national economy. The abundant products in the North should be used as early as possible for rehabilitating South Korean national economy and stabilizing the livelihood of South Korean people after the peaceful unification of the fatherland. Machine building industry is now turning out construction machines, tractors, lorries, and other heavy machines, as well as installations. With the support of the powerful heavy industry, rural economy is now making rapid development. Since the completion of the cooperativization, cultural and technical revolution is making headway in rural areas. The fully irrigated fields know no drought nor flood and yield bumper crops every year. Animal husbandry and fishing industry, a powerful base of light industry has been created. The entire people in the northern half of the Republic are waging a vigorous labor struggle for the completion of socialist construction, the guarantee for the promotion of peaceful unification of the fatherland. The people cut down mountains, dam up rivers, and build power stations. New theaters, dwelling houses, hospitals, and schools are rising one after another. Is taking on a magnificent look. The face of local cities and rural villages is changing too. All these bring prosperity to the people in the North. The South Korean people in great distress should enjoy their share at the earliest date. October 27, 1959, at the 6th session of the Second Supreme People's Assembly, again put forth a proposal on holding an all-Korea general election after the withdrawal of foreign troops from South Korea, and on realizing negotiations between representatives of North and South Korea, and economic and cultural intercourse between the North and South. But the U.S. imperialists entrenched in South Korea blocked our proposals. Though 15 years have elapsed since liberation, The tragedy of national split continues. Now the Korean people cannot even write to their family members and relatives, to say nothing of meeting them, though they are within calling distance. The U.S. imperialist aggressors imposing misfortunes and tribulations upon the Korean people are standing in the way of North and South contact. Even from foreign countries, compatriots are coming in a steady stream to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, their socialist fatherland. The whole country is seething with joy of meeting the compatriots. As men without country, they left home long ago with deep grief in their hearts. In the north, which is taking in the repatriates from Japan, people's living is improving daily. Children, flower birds of our country, are blossoming in kindergartens and schools. But in South Korea, things are altogether different. South Korea is full of vagrant orphans. American soldiers are riding roughshod over South Korean people. South Korea, where 2 pieces of firewood cost 1,000 won. This is the life of South Korean people who are undergoing the greatest hardship in 4,000 years. Occupation of South Korea by U.S. imperialists reduced it to such hell. A Canadian reporter said that today's South Korea is worse than in the days of the Japanese imperialist rule. After his visit to South Korea, a Swedish journalist wrote, "I have been to hell." Why should South Korean people live like this? Should they endure this? No. South Korean people have risen up. They launched a popular resistance struggle against the fascist terror rule of American imperialists and Sigmund Rhee, their minions. Demonstrators are shouting, "Overthrow the dirty government! Punish national traitors!" A Holocaust wrought by the barbarous puppet police. of the liberal parties and puppet ruling machinery. Under the support of the people, the new life are swelling. Northern half of the Republic are extending support and encouragement to the South Korean brothers and sisters in the righteous struggle. The 600,000 compatriots in Japan are supporting the resistance struggle. The 650 million Chinese friends and men of goodwill throughout the world are actively supporting the resistance struggle of South Korean people. U.S. imperialists pull out of South Korea at once. The Korean people rallied rock firm around the Korean Workers' Party and the government of the Republic headed by Marshal Kim Il-sung will certainly unify the country after compelling the U.S. imperialist aggressors to withdraw from South Korea.